Alright, let's see. We got the mic up. Alright. In the principles of all that. Let's pull up the stream chat. Alright. This works much better. Okay, let's get to work. What do you mean it does not exist? There we go. like a skirt form to them. Definitely should look forward to more oval forms when designing the grates. Maybe even like lean the form over just a tiny bit. How much should the plating like vary? I don't think all that much. So, wow, you can hear everything. Hear the dog, hear me, hear literally everything. If I lower the volume slightly. Lower that a little bit. Actually, no, I should probably put this up slightly. I don't really know how this form is going to behave in all poses. And perhaps I don't need to worry about that as much as I am. Until I get down drawing the same form over and over in general. I don't feel like the boots are necessary. The boots feel very unnecessary. Other than for like actual armor presence. Hmm. Also, that foot is a little bit oversized. It's fine though, we're just sketching. Of all the things I want to find out, it's just what looks best loosely. Like, what looks best with loose animation? Or even just loose sketching. Hmm. The pelvic form is lost a little bit with that centering line. The back of the shell folds, that might have to change. You know what might work here? Looking up Buzz Lightyear. Unironically. Something like this, for instance. Actually has a great form. What if we just forget the pelvic plates for the slim shell? Let's go back to my old design philosophy for that, which is the crown, the cylinder, and measuring the horns. This looks like a much easier overlapping form for the Great Blade. Should the shoulder plates exist? Maybe the shoulder should exist, but not exactly the way I made it. Maybe I should keep the shoulder spikes like in the old design. Have them go upward. This is what they'd look like on the side. Alright. I give space for the hands to kind of just breathe down to the pelvic form. Now for the final design. If I'm being honest, I still like the open gauntlets. But maybe I can be a bit nicer about how the gauntlets look on them. That bust in the plate just looks too weird. I don't know. Like it doesn't pop out or it does pop out, but not in the way that I like. These spikes can kind of be retractable. That's their design. Look at some of the older sketches. Forward facing. Okay. You took out one of my older videos. Hello, Tusker. What's poppin', man? Hmm. Pelvic form is a nightmare. I think I am just gonna give up on the plating. Yeah, I'm drawing. Still trying to find the perfect form for the great. The pelvic plating just doesn't seem to work. Looks pretty awesome. Thanks, man. What if I just have like a box pelvis, kind of like the human form? Boxy pelvic form. And then like the boots definitely they should like bubble out a bit, but it shouldn't be like geometric. don't fully understand. Okay, let's keep the shoulder forms as it was earlier. It just makes sense that the plating can rotate, that the shoulder plate can rotate. So it could start like this, then it can rotate upward. That's just how I'll animate that. This is better than what I could draw. Life is kind of like that sometimes. No, but that doesn't make sense either. And drop for shit, and that's how you gotta learn. I mean, yeah, it doesn't have to fully make sense. But I do want a consistent design to draw them with as well. What if I just get playful, forget about proportions for a second? Like, what if I just make core forms right here? What if I play with the triangle form real quick? Doesn't have to make any sense. Just I'm not even gonna worry too much about the pelvic form. I'm just gonna like draw the legs here. Sorry if you can hear everything in the back. Let me put up the fan as well. I kind of like how the legs look. When there's a lack of pelvic form. It looks cartoony. Looks very cartoony. Let's lean into that a little bit. Get a little bit cartoonish instead of making everything rigid and ridiculous for a sec. Let's make a basic circle form. Let's make the skirt. Let's separate the first leg. Make it fan out a little bit. Make it fan out like this. Are you going for cartoony? I like my art style is cartoonish realism. When I used to do animation outside of Hangman, I always did cartooning. This looks good. Then let's just give it the plate form right there. That looks like a good leg form. No worry lines, no bullshit. That is a good leg form, unironically. I could even like open it up a little bit. Add some 3D. Like light 3D to that. Spread out the boots. Make like the boot plate. Just make like all that flesh for a sec. Technically, this form is supposed to work, if not just a little bit high. So what if I increase the size of the pelvic form just slightly, for the fun of it? No. Okay. Just being a straight line. Looks good. Now let's play with the chest. Just do the same thing I did. Make it puff out a little bit. Maybe just doesn't need to make full anatomical sense. It's not how animation works. I'm not making like a Frankenstein's monster. I'm not like this is just the average Greatblade. I should not worry this hard about designing the average Greatblade. I think this is easily the best form for the shell. Just because it looks like it can have the most bend going to it. Like how it's looking. Honestly, I also like how it's looking. Basic 3D form. Should I add a shoulder blade to it?
Hey,
Yep.
look up. Make sure you're ready around 3:30. You want to grab us?
No, I'm working. Right after this, I gotta get on my
You
final.
called your grandma and asked her to make you fun.
But I told her that my when I'm open next is after my finals, and she said that she'll just invite me over. And then today, she texted me saying change of plan. She's gonna do them today, and I said, well, I can't. I gotta sit down. I have to finish this. I have to finish my finals.
You told her that?
Yeah, and she said, okay, she'll just bring it over. I can't afford to. Well, I gotta finish the foot, the anatomy. I need to finish all that today. There you go. Sorry about that. It was my birthday recently, so my grandma was making something. Hope I do well in my finals. Thanks. So far, I'm not doing half bad. In fact, I recently got my portfolio review. Oh, happy late birthday. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Did I say Peyton? Sorry, I hang out Peyton so much. Yeah, thank you very much. I know the hand anatomy to a T, but like again, just get playful with it. I've been so obsessed with making everything look perfect. I've kind of just forgotten how to relax. Nothing is perfect. Indeed, nothing could ever be perfect. I gotta remember that. Sometimes striving for perfection ends up making you miss the best traits about design. Abstract art is really good. I agree. I think that abstract art, figurative art, stuff like that, all that stuff kind of go hand in hand for some of the best creation. All right. Instead of again doing like heavy lines, let's make a circle. Let's make a circle. Line, cross, line, and then this can lean over a little bit. This is a pelvic form. No, sorry, this is a torso form. There's no other shapes needed. This is the torso form now. This is a shell. This can be abstracted into a shell. You can make a leading line. We can make the leg form. You can have this curve a little bit. Give it like intention. Realistic line work does not give intention. It does not give personality. Real life is extremely boring, in my opinion, when it comes to like the human form. I think that the human form is flawed and ugly inherently. That's just my opinion, though. I just think that humans are ugly in the art world. These aren't proportionally correct, but either way, again, it just kind of practices what I was looking at in the first place. Just play around with the form. That's a bit too high because we're assuming that the pelvis is raised. So if this is here, then that means that the shoulders have to be like this in a 3D form. Now what's up with the shoulder form, though? We can just extend this. And then we can have the hand. Okay, it's a little bit dark. Well, the human form looks nice when it's complex. But like when you bring the human form down to simplicities, outside the muscles, I just don't find it interesting. Like there's the muscle forms of the leg, the bone forms that we have to look for. Just kind of curves in slightly but straightens out. It has like a triangular form. There's the muscles. There's the Achilles, which kind of goes outward from how the bone looks. There's the bone in the heel with the fat. We can also just simplify the foot into a triangular form, but it kind of curves. Bubbles up here just a little bit. Like this can kind of be dramatic because of how the bone works. No, not the bone, the muscle works. This kind of curves in a little bit. This is the knee form. There's like a hole that could go through here. This is the flesh attached to this muscular form. Then the gluteus. This is all shit that can happen in general with the human form, or that does happen with the human form. I haven't like put down everything, obviously. But making a good human form is boring. Like this is technically what realistic curves would start to look like in the human form. But why do that when you can simplify it into box shapes? Circle, triangle. This has more personality to me, in my opinion. unless you make a very specific character that benefits off of the human design, like the hand form, for instance, and its natural curvy design, unless you have a character that specifically benefits off of that, I think it takes away from a unique character design. Fingers have ligaments. And yes, it's like very soft ligaments at the bottom, and then it's a lot more skin form. But why do that? When you want to know the secret to hands, I'll give you the secret to hands right now. Right now. Point out your finger, and then, like, put it as straight as you can by straining them upward. When you do that, they have a curve. The top form always has the curve. Curve, curve. And then you can like soften out the form at the bottom. The knuckles are closer to the back. Obviously, this isn't like the greatest form in the world, but it's a lot more fun than just trying to figure out all the little soft shapes. This is a hand of personality. Give it a little bit of nail. This is a hand of personality. I can create new forms with this. I can just give whatever form I want by understanding the base forms. This is a lot more fun to look in animation, unless you're going for a very advanced design. Speaking of form, let's give the Great Blade more personality now that we have the basic leg form. The leg form is just going to be here, and I'm thinking of having it bump out a little bit and then go back down again. Like leg form, 2 lines. Like, let's just give it a little bit of bump up near the pelvic form just to see if that works. Maybe it doesn't, maybe it does. All right. Now we're at the last bit where right before I get to work on my finals piece. By the way, you can see part 1 of my finals on hands if you go to my Instagram. In fact, let me post it in post real quick. There we go. I posted it. Here we are. Basic Great Blade form. You know, I was talking shit about the human form, but let's look at... Oh, thanks for following, by the way. Appreciate it. I was just shitting on the human form, but let's look at the human shoulder. I have those notes written down. In the greater anatomy of the arm. Thanks, man. Yeah, I do lots of design. Right now we're playing with cartooning the Great Blade. But yeah, the gross anatomy of the shoulder. Let's grab that real quick. Here we are, anatomy of the shoulder. Wow, okay. The pectoral majoris. Prominent. Is it the teres maiden? It's not the teres maiden. I'm gonna have to pull this up real quick for everyone. By the way, if y'all want some classical music in the background while I work. Yeah, I don't think that's a teres major. The drawings? Yeah, thanks, man. I've been working hard to make it all count. Yeah, the trapezius and the deltoid. That's what I need to look at. Give up the good work. Thanks, guys. Waiting to see some of the animation work I've been getting to. The Greatbladers series has been going on for a while on my channel, but I've been trying to focus on honing my skills in the first place. Hence why I'm having such a hard time with the Great Blade designs right now. I'm trying to figure out how I can make the animation work all come together. Why are all of the muscle anatomy charts so ass? Here we are. Here's a good one. This is actually really useful. All right. This is where animation and anatomy goes hand in hand. Let's make the abdominal form. Let's make the pelvic form. Let's make the abdominal shell. This is the armor of the great, the abdominal shell. Just to give it some like frame, I'm gonna like bend in those lines a little bit. So the trapezius, the deltoid, and the pectoral majoris. I think the way I'm animating these guys is all wrong. The serratus isn't exactly as important to the greats, but what we need to know is all the muscles under the pectoral majoris, which attaches to the deltoid. So trapezius goes here. So the pectoral attaches directly to the trapezius and deltoid. Deltoid over here. I'm not going to focus too hard on making it 100% correct, but the trapezius kind of bends inward, which is where I kind of cartoon the shoulders. It is simplifying very advanced bodies, because all bodies are advanced by nature, but we can always simplify these forms. So I can just bend in the trapezius. Deltoid almost has like a triangle form to it. It's almost like turning this way a little bit, like looking this way. So like it's a double triangle form that kind of happens at the shoulder, and then it connects to the pectoral form. Which I could kind of simplify that as well. So if I just make a brand new abdominal form, taking in mind the trapezius and deltoid, then I can kind of, first let's align everything. Let's say that the shoulders are just straight. So should this be how the shell looks? Like, let's just make it a little bit dramatic. It's a little bit too dramatic. Let's like thin that out just a little bit. Like, not really though. I don't really think that that kind of goes together well. What if we just go with the full, like, umbrella form and then bend it over like this? I think that looks better. I could also just choose to put the neck form entirely into the shell instead of, again, relying entirely on human form. Now that we kind of understand what we're looking at in the first place, we can bend that over, make it like triangle going inward. There's kind of a oval form that comes out of this. I actually have to make the head form with a slight little bit of care. Head form connected to that neck. This is a bad torso to play with. Let's like mess around with this one. Sound like a serial killer. The bad torso to play with. I don't think that bend is good, does it? Look, I don't know. You know what? Actually, that looks fine. Maybe. Let's have like an arm form. No, that arm is way too small though. It's like put it down big, give it its fair shake. Forget the trapezius. That's true, doesn't need perfection. This design does look the best, in my opinion. It also looks triangular from the front. Just a little bit. See how far triangular forms can get with this. I don't know. We'll play around with this a little bit more tonight. For now, though, I have to go. I need to finish my finals of the feet project. start clothing the body just a little bit. Do well. Don't worry, I will. Thank you, though. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining the stream, too. Or anyone else who's joined but didn't say anything. If you're like, if you're already here, then just subscribe. See more. I'll see you guys. Skadoosh.